name is Bola Audena, and as you can see, at least for those who are familiar with our format, you'll see that my co-host, Mac Audena, is not here today. And to be honest, it's because I've pissed him off. I've made him upset, and I'm sure, I'm a lot, so I get it. And I'm a work in progress. Well, we're all works in progress, so it is what it is. I'm sure next time he'll be here. However, I did commit to coming on today, so I didn't want to not come on, especially because there's so much that I want to talk about. There's so much going on, so much information that I want to relay. And to start with, I really do want to apologize because it's been a while. I feel like, we haven't been as consistent with Some Day Is Today, and that's not because we don't want to. There's just a lot going on, and that's a lame excuse. So what I'll say is, blame it on my inefficient, undisciplined, not well-resourced process. So what I mean by that, let me go back. I need to get comfortable, number one. So when I started Some Days Today about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half, it hasn't been 2 years. The goal was to use this as a platform to not only encourage others to go out and live their best lives starting today, but just do the damn thing. Live your best life starting today. Focus on what you're looking to birth, whatever creative energy, creative entity is within you, constantly honoring it and looking to bring it into fruition. So I also wanted to use Some Days Today to track my journey, because I think for those who've been listening as well, I think you all know that I left my job in corporate America because it just, not only did it no longer serve me, it was draining the life out of me, and it had drained me since I got there. I just didn't realize it. I didn't realize I was dying a slow death. But I had to leave. And really, the impetus behind that was because my children were getting older. So my babies were getting older. I wanted to be around, at least physically, as well as mentally, more for them. So that really was what sort of took me on that journey. So when I left to explore the possibility of starting my own consulting firm, I also wanted to have a podcast to really track the journey. To talk about my fears, my insecurities, the breakthroughs, the meltdowns. And I don't know that we've done a great job, at least of bringing everyone up to speed, or bringing everyone along on the journey of the consulting practice that we started. And we've been having a lot of progress recently, which is why I've been away, that I just thought it was best to come back and sort of have a conversation, revisit the premise of this show, and use it as a way to really just touch base and talk about what I'm learning, what I've learned, where I am, and where we hope to go. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. It's what's up with y'all, is the topic. I think. I don't know. We'll figure out what the topic is. But so here we are. So let's jump into it. For those who are new to Some Days Today, a quick background. I am a mom. I have 3 children, 2 in high school, 1 in elementary school, Waman, Nubia, and Amini. I have a husband who, his name is Mac, and he is my co-host. And by day, I am a business advisory consultant. What that means is I work with small businesses, mid-sized businesses, really anyone that's going to pay me some money to talk about operational efficiencies. Of course, when I started, so I've always been in consulting most of my career, working with large organizations as to how to be more efficient. And after about 2 years ago, I went through a leadership program and realized that I actually wanted to spend some time working within the small to mid-size business space. I also wanted to work more specifically with women and minority-owned enterprises. So that was the premise of me launching my practice. And I have an MBA. My husband has a law degree. He's an attorney. So I figured, what better combination than that to start a company? So we started, and to be honest, we actually launched MBA Growth Partners, which is the name of our company, January 2020, which of course everyone knows 3 months later, the pandemic happened, and there went that idea. So what I will say is, I don't even know how to pull all of this together because there's just so much. But really what it boils down to is, we have been on a journey. And when I say we, it's been mostly me. And the journey has been to transform myself, my thinking, my mindset, how I move, the spaces that I occupy, my relationships, my networking, my vision for my life, really transform all of that so that I can be better positioned for where I want to be, which is a business owner with a thriving business, and a business that influences and really impacts thousands, millions of people in a positive way, in helping them realize their dreams, in supporting the growth and expansion of their businesses, but also a business that can be passed on to my children. Either a physical business that can be passed on, or something that the benefits can then be derived by the children. So that's been the purpose, and that's been, my single focus for the past year and a half. And when I say single, probably not all that single, because I also do some days today, but for the most part, I think the energy has been on growing the business. So if you listen to Some Days Today, you'll know that we're just trying to figure this out. I understood, or I understand, that I'm not well resourced when it comes to what one needs to do to grow a business, to really move yourself from a trajectory of being an employee and working all of your life and being miserable until you are 65, 70, whatever the retirement age is, which I'm not sure at this point. Trying to move from that trajectory to one where you get it today, some days today. I'm not trying to wait till I'm 65, 70 to then look around and realize my body is too old and my mind is too far gone and my energy has been drained to live the life that I want. I want to live my life now. And the life that I want to live now includes traveling, building meaningful, beautiful relationship, spending time with my children, making memories, in all sorts of ways, and really just and also putting my energy towards something that I can look at and see grow and nurture and water and be proud of. So that has been the point, the purpose of why we decided to set out on our own. So I brought 2020 into the conversation because, to be honest, the past year has been a lot of grinding. Once again, like I said, I don't know much about starting businesses. I don't come from a family of, people who've had successful businesses. So I had to learn on my own. And in the process, lots of reading, lots of conversations. We've talked about the various books that continue to influence us, or our words of the year, which mine happens to be discipline. And to give you an update on how that word is serving me, not very well. I will say that I could be a lot more disciplined in what I'm doing, but I get up every day and I'm trying to be better. However, I have been trying to build this business in a way that is true to who I am and the vision that I have for myself. So this is May 2021, and I am happy to report that we're seeing some movements in our business. Some movements that have sort of, they seem to be leaps. It's, you know, they're not regular strides, which is great. I think we've been making strides in our business for the past year and a half. However, more recently, we're sort of leaping. It's sort of, there's a leap in what I'm seeing. And I'm just grateful. You know, I don't know how to really wrap my mind around everything that's going on, particularly with the business. And to be clear, I'm not cashing $1 million checks yet, but we're close. Anyways, the point is we're close, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. But what I will say is I'm excited about where I am today as far as the business is concerned. And, you know, I was talking to a friend the other day, and I said, I actually don't even recognize, not that I don't recognize myself, but it feels weird to think that, you know, the thing that you have been dreaming about, working for, wanting, imagining, you know, almost seems within reach. You know, when you get to that point where you're like, okay, well, I think we may be able to do something here. For me, it's a surreal feeling. You know, it makes me feel like, wow, I wish I hadn't doubted myself for so long. But anyways, we're still in the process, and hopefully I'll be able to divulge more throughout this process. But I did want to do this episode, number one, just to catch everyone up on, you know, what's going on, and also because we needed to make another deposit, but to quickly share. So going back to the premise of Some Days Today, to give an update on where we are with the business, because I think it's important. It's important. So, and as I give an update, I also want to share the lessons that I'm learning along the way. And the lessons are so huge. And I think the lessons are so huge. They're so not groundbreaking, at least for me. They shatter a lot of the concepts that I held close to my heart, that, you know, it's somewhat shattered. It shatters sort of foundational beliefs. And I think it's important to share that in case it could be helpful to others. So the first thing I'm going to say, okay, you know what, let me just give a summary of where we are with the business. So when I started Some MBA Growth Partners, I left my full-time job to figure out how to get business. Me, myself, and I. Mac is still working a full-time job because somebody got to pay the bills. However, the plan was always for me to get it to a point where it would make sense for Mac to then leave his job and contribute to what we're doing here so that we can then grow it together. And the consulting practice that we are starting, the purpose is not to just have one practice. The purpose is to have a consulting firm that has branches and practices in a lot of different areas of business, but also all over the world. So we're trying to build multiple practices all over the world, so that we can provide access to people who want our services. And I'm going to say that because I think we provide second to none, amazing service. But have people who want our service all over the world have access to us, but also to provide a platform for people who want to provide services as well, to provide a platform for them so that they have an umbrella organization to work within. So what I mean by that is there's so many people, especially Black people, who are lawyers and they're practicing by themselves, or marketing executives and they're practicing by themselves, or even consultants. So many IT consultants, business consultants, process consultants, you name it. Everyone has their own shop And that's not to say that that's a bad thing. I think that's great. I got my own shop. But for those who are looking to, you know, maybe they want to provide the service, but they don't necessarily want to build the infrastructure. We are here to provide them with that infrastructure. So not only do I want to create an organization to service our clients, but also create a platform for people to come on and plug into, who can then also provide service to their audience, because that's the best way for us to collaborate and grow. That's the best way for us to collaborate and go. So with that being said, started MBA Growth Partners, and it's been a grind. Let me just say, it has been a grind, but it's been a fun grind. So, you know, it's funny, I look back and I think it's gonna be 2 years in June since my last paycheck from an employer. That's a long time to be on your own, especially when you've never not had a job. I've always had a job. So it's going to be 2 years. And in the meantime, you know, the money has trickled in here and there, but it hasn't been consistent enough to feel like I replaced my income. So that was my first goal. My first goal is, okay, well, I had many goals on this path to entrepreneurship. Obviously, you're going to want, you know, your first client. You're going to want your first, you know, intern or employee. And then, of course, you're going to want to start feeling like you're making good money. But I'm at the point now where I feel like, oh, I'm close to replacing my income, possibly, but we'll see. But anyways, the point is that, you know, I've been here, you know, just running the business, and it's been long. It's been a grind, especially because I didn't have the connections, the resources, or even the knowledge of how to run a business, how to build a business from the ground up, per se. But it's been a fun grind because I've been working on something that I enjoyed. I've been working on my own terms. I've been at practice doing something that brought joy to me. So it hasn't felt like a long time. But the truth of the matter is, we're closing on 2 years since I got my last paycheck. I did take 6 months of a leave of absence to sort of explore this space, and officially launched in 2020 of January of 2020. However, it's closing on 2 years since we essentially started the business, and I feel like we are starting to get on a strong footing. What does that mean? For the first time in the history of our company, we have been able to bring on subcontractors to work on the various projects that we have underway. And these projects range from 3 months to 12 months. So what that means is, for at least a year, we are going to be able to keep staff on to work the projects that we have. Now, in keeping staff on, number one, we need to hire a full-time person into our organization, someone who can assist with the day-to-day. So that's a milestone. We're getting ready to hire someone who is going to be our person. Number two, Mac is going to be able to leave his job to come on to MBA Growth Partners and work on a full-time basis. So that's another huge milestone. Number three, I'm going to be able to pull salary for the first time in a long time from the business. Well, for the first time ever, really. I'm going to be getting paid some money. So we're in the process of sort of making that happen, but I'm going to be getting paid something I haven't seen a consistent check, a salary for a long time. So this business is going to be paying me, is going to be paying Mac on a full-time basis. We're bringing on someone to help with the day-to-day coordination. And also, at the same time, we are going to be able to bring on subcontractors. And these folks are my friends. That's another thing that has just been such a blessing, being able to offer opportunities to my friends who are in the space, and offer opportunity to them because number one, I know we need the help. And number two, they do an amazing job of delivering. And I know who they are. I can trust them. I can trust my baby, my clients to them. So it's exciting. It's meaningful. This is a really good time. And then lastly, looking to grow our base of interns, folks who will continue to help us on a day-to-day basis. So those are the milestones. Aside from that, there's so many things happening. We are getting ready to go to Nigeria in a month. Why are we going to Nigeria? Because we received a grant where the state of Maryland will pay you to travel to other countries and explore opportunities there to see if you can provide your services in those spaces. So not only are we growing here in Maryland, but we're also exploring opportunities elsewhere, and we're exploring it from a space of comfort. We're not desperate. We're exploring it from a space of comfort. So anyways, the whole point is there's a lot going on. I'm busy. I'm busy. However, I'm good. I'm excited. I am impressed. I am in awe. I haven't even talked about all the other amazing things happening, the surprises within the business. But hopefully, maybe when Mac is here, we can talk some more about it because I think it can serve as an inspiration for those who are thinking, I want to do my own thing. And the bottom line is, first of all, yes, you should. You should always do your own thing. But second of all, you can do your own thing and thrive. And I'm excited to have you guys. I'm going to be more intentional about showing the journey so that you all can see the growth. But I'm really excited about where we are here. So I'm going to jump into the lessons along the way. But I also want to say that I'm getting ready to turn 40. It's May 2nd. 2021. I'm an 81 baby. I was born in 81, July 1st. And in 2 months, I'm going to be turning 40. I'm going to have to do another podcast on, just what that means to me. But it's, to me, I don't even know why I am using 40 as a milestone in a way to really kick myself a kick in the butt. But I'm excited, number one, that I'm going to be 40. I'm excited for health. I'm excited for peace of mind. I'm excited for where I am with the business. I'm excited for my children. But more than anything, I'm just excited that I'm doing it. Doing what I set out to do. And, I keep telling my friends that, moving forward, starting now, the theme of my life is going to be ease and abundance, meaning we're not stressing nothing. I'm not trying to worry about nothing. I'm not trying to, stress out. I'm not trying to figure out, where the money is going to come from. I'm not trying to fight about something. It's ease and abundance. And with that, I am planning a 40th birthday. We're actually planning on going to Puerto Rico. And I just want to have a good time. I would love for all my loved ones, my friends, to come with us. I want to show them a beautiful time. Part of the reason why we're going to Puerto Rico is because I went earlier this year with my sister-in-law, and it's such a vibe. It was so beautiful. But I want to be able to bring my friends, my loved ones there and just have a good time. And when I say a good time, I just want to be able to share a bit of inspiration. I'm in an inspired space right now, like a really good space right now. And I want to be able to spend that time with friends, loved ones, and share it so that we can, continue to tap into this energy. Life is amazing. Life is abundant, and we've got to change the mindset of lack that a lot of us have that keeps us in positions that we're in. So I'm really excited to explore that. And I'm going to talk about the journey to 40 and maybe have pictures. So yes. So with that being said, let's turn the corner to really just provide an update on the business and what I've learned along the way. So my first lesson when building a business, what I'm realizing is you need a team. You cannot build a viable business. Okay, let me take things back, because I think a lot of times people say stuff as facts without necessarily knowing or qualifying it as their opinion. So what I will say is, from my experience, probably what's taking me as long as it's taking to build this business is the fact that I didn't have a team. And how can you have a team when you don't have money? Yes, true. However, there's so many ways that you can build a team for way less than you think. The bottom line, though, is a lot of times, especially Black and minority people, we go into business and we think, we have this vision, we want to do something, and we think we're going to be the ones to make it happen all by ourselves. And when the money starts coming in, then you get the team. Personally, I think that's the fastest way to burn out. And in the past 2 years, I have been grinding. I have been running nonstop because, for the most part, I didn't have a team. I didn't have a team, but I had a huge vision. And in order to realize the vision, I had to just not sleep. And even in doing that, my list of to-dos just never ended. It wasn't until I started feeling a bit comfortable bringing on interns and paying them, even when I haven't been getting paid, just paying them whatever I could afford, an hourly wage, 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, whatever it was. But it wasn't until I started bringing in outside people to build a team that things actually started to take off. And I would say things started to take off probably fairly recently, in the past 4 months or so. And I would really put that on starting to build a team. Now, I'm still in the beginning phases of building a good core team. However, if I had to do something different, if I had to go, if I had to start all over again, I probably would start with a team. And the reason why a team is so important is because when you're trying to birth something, it's such, birthing of anything, starting a business, raising children, whatever it is, it's an endeavor that requires multiple insight. You need people providing insights from different perspectives. There are things that you're going to do well that, you need to focus on doing well, but you then need others to come in and round out your skill set, but also to be able to also pour their own creative energy into your endeavor. It's almost like, if you are going to cultivate a farm, there's certain things that you can do yourself. You may know, the type of soil to get and how to make that soil the best it should be. But, you probably need someone who is also going to plant the seedlings. You need someone who's going to water. You need the son to chip in and do his own thing. The point is, you can't do much in life without a team. So my recommendation is, from the very beginning, when you're looking to do something, however small that team is, and you don't always have to pay them. I have a friend who said, when she was getting ready to start her business, she reached out to folks within her network. These are, much older people, and asked them to be part of her leadership team, sort of a board of directors. And I have never thought about that. Matter of fact, I still need to put a board of directors together. But these are people that she meets with on a monthly basis, and they volunteer their time to provide her insight about what she should be doing, the moves that she should be making. And they also provide checks and balance for her so that she's not able to just make whatever decisions she wants without getting someone else to weigh in on it. So really, it's important to have a team. But not only from an advisory perspective, but from a doer perspective, you need people who are going to be doing, because you can only do so much before you run out of energy. So these other individuals who can do stuff for you, even if you're only paying them $10 an hour for 2 hours a week, get them. Have them come into your business so that they can add additional inspiration and creative energy into your business. So that's the first thing. That's the lesson that I'm walking away with. And I'm going to continue to work on building my team as I move further. So the next thing is, and it's hard for me to really appreciate this as much as it's hard for me to really emphasize it, because I think, we've been taught certain things about what success means, how to be successful. And a lot of it has to do with money. And what I'm realizing now, and this will probably need to be another podcast, but what I'm realizing now is I love Lil Wayne. The money is not the motive. Let that sit for a second. The money is not the motive. And as a matter of fact, I realized the money comes when you stop chasing it, which is so weird, because that's such a, it's a paradox. The money is not the motive. Don't make the money the motive. When you stop making the money the motive and you make whatever it is that you're trying to create and birth the motive, somehow that energy, that creative energy, that high vibration energy really pulls the money to you. I don't know how it happens. It's magic. For those who are wondering what I mean by magic, you can watch our old episode on, do you believe in magic? But the way money has been showing up in my life recently is leading me to believe that no, the money is not the motive, because I could not have orchestrated, if I was really just trying to get to the money, the way things are showing up now, I don't know that I will have gone this direction. It would not have been intuitive that this would be the path to the money. But when you let go of the money, so let me step back and explain why the money is not the motive, because I think it's important. When I left my job, and I don't like to talk about money, but I think it's important for me if I'm going to, add some real substance to this conversation. When I left my job in corporate America, I was getting paid a decent amount of money. I left a, $200,000 job without bonus. And I was on the path to making even more money, one may say, because I was on the path to getting, the next level would be partner, getting promoted to managing director. So by any measure, if one were looking for money per se, and maybe not by any measure, by a lot of people's measure, I would say maybe that's a lot of money to a lot of people. And for you to leave that and to leave that for nothing is a very, one would say that's crazy. And perhaps if money were the motive, of course it would be crazy, because why would you leave such a figure for nothing? But the reason I had to leave was because given too much of myself for that money. And I knew and I believed that, first of all, the amount of energy that I was putting towards getting that money, if I put it elsewhere, I would probably be able to make a lot more. So that was one reasoning, because I've always known and trusted, I've always known my abilities, and I trusted in my ability to bring about the money that I needed over time. However, though, if money were the motive, I never would have left. I would have just stayed there and try to figure out a way to hold on to that money while looking to bring additional money in. The problem is, I had nothing else to give. I had no excess energy or bandwidth or resource to work on the other things. So I essentially was stuck. I was making decent-ish money. It wasn't money that allowed me to move any way I wanted, meaning I had to drive however many hours to go to work. I was away from the house. I wasn't able to explore any hobbies. I was away from my children. And by the time I got the money, I don't even know where the money went. You know, I was buried in student loans and really just stressed out, let me just say. So the money came, but just as quickly the money went away, because once again, money doesn't stick, because money is energy. And, you know, we can talk about that, you know, in another episode. But because money is energy, if you're not vibrating at the level you should to keep money, to keep a lot of money, if you're not vibrant, if your energy doesn't match that, that money is just always going to go out. So I never knew where the money went, even though my paycheck said I was making, you know, this amount of money. So maybe I just wasn't great at managing money. Whatever it was, when I decided to walk away from that, I gained so much. I gained a lot of the things that money was supposed to buy. I gained time. So now I no longer had the money, so to speak, but I gained time. And that's really what money is supposed to give you, right? It's supposed to give you the flexibility to do what you want, when you want. But I left the money and automatically stepped into abundance just by saying no to this money. I stepped into abundance of time, abundance of flexibility, the ability to move and do as I please. And on top of that, the ability to create, the ability to work on my own thing, the ability to create this podcast, the ability to speak and say anything I want. So let me just give you an example on the topic of speaking and doing and saying anything you want. In corporate America, I don't know how many of you all are in there right now, but there's certain types of, there's certain companies that you work with. I was working with a consulting firm, but there's certain companies that you work with that basically tie you down. They are not paying you for 24 hours of your time, but they essentially own 24 hours of your time. An example is I reached out to a friend of mine to possibly consider, you know, doing a side gig while still working her full-time job for a big, one of the big consulting firms. And she essentially was like, I can't do it because I would have to submit the side gig to my bosses and ask for permission to do it. And if they feel like it's either too much of a conflict, it's going to take away from her ability to focus on her work, whatever it is, they will essentially deny it. Like, it's hard for you to say, move, have anything else outside of the job that you're only being paid 8 hours a day for. It's hard for you to move and do other things when you are working in those spaces, because they essentially own 24 hours of your time. At least that's how I see it. So once again, when I left all of that, I stepped into abundance in so many ways that, you know, money couldn't have bought. That money could not have bought, because it didn't buy me the freedom. Even in the past, when I would go on vacation, and I would probably go maybe once or twice, if I was being sexy, I would go twice a year. I was still doing work on vacation, you know, and it still felt fearful. What would people say? Oh my God, is she committed to the job? And what kind of work will I come back to? Will this impact my ability to be promoted, etc.? Right? So when I left that, I stepped into abundance on so many levels that, I knew I was in the right space. So so the money wasn't the motive. I knew that saying yes to this so that I can create and build and do the things that I want to do was going to be the path to getting what I ultimately want, which was true freedom, which really, if you think about it, is what money is supposed to buy you. But it doesn't, because too many of us are chasing money as the end goal when it's not. So what I will say is, it's important to rethink the role money plays in our lives. I actually think the more I occupy this space, the more I'm realizing that money is an enabler, just like everything else. Yes, you want good health, you want relationships, you want your wherewithal, you want to have a vehicle that's working, you want a bus pass if you need to get to different places. There are different things that enable certain things, but those things are not the end goal themselves, right? Having a bus pass can allow you to get to a lot of different places, but you should not make your whole existence about figuring out how to get a bus pass. That's insane. That's the role money needs to be playing in our lives. Yes, it'd be great to have it because it can grease the wheels and allow for you to do the things you want. But the focus is on what you want. You have to remain steadfast on what you want. If I don't have a bus pass, but I need to get to New Jersey to see my parents, I need to figure out ways to make it work, right? If I don't have a bus pass to allow me to hop on a bus to quickly get to New Jersey, what are the ways can I make the same thing happen? I can call a friend and see if she can give me a ride. I can maybe hitchhike. I used to hitchhike when I was younger. I can hitchhike. I can, maybe get to walking. You can be resourceful and think about other ways to get the things that you want without making the thing you don't have that end goal. The thing you want is the end goal. The money is not the motive. And I think it's so important for us to constantly keep that in our minds, because once you take that pursuit of money out of the out of focus, out of the question, you put it aside, the money then comes, which is crazy. But I promise you all, the money is not the motive. Make whatever it is that you want to do, whatever you prioritize, memories, time, beauty, inspiration, who you want to become as a person. And, I know I talk to a lot of people and sometimes they'll say, well, I just want money. Rich is what I want to be, which is great once again, but you got to think about, what does being rich bring you? What is the end goal beyond that money? So if tomorrow you all of a sudden have $1 million in your bank account, what will you do with it? And whatever it is that you write down that you will do with that money, that's what you need to start doing now. So some people will say, I will give more to charity. I will, of course, people are going to say, I'll pay up my student loans and my mortgage. But yeah, those two things, once you're done with that, then what, right? What else are you going to do? And whatever those things are, those are the things that you need to start doing now. If you want to travel more, you could travel more without having a lot of money. Trust me. And you don't even have to travel out of the country. You can do like a staycation. You can go to the next town. You can figure out how, like some people do points. They figure out how to hack points so that they can travel for a year for free and get a companion pass. I know my sister-in-law, knows all about the points, the credit card points game, and how to work it so that you can travel. There's so much we can do that we don't do because we have made money the single focus at the expense of everything else that we are trying to do. And I actually think in a twisted, weird way, when you stop making money the motive, somehow the money then starts to come. But even if it doesn't come, how meaningful is the life that you live when you actually start living your life today, doing what you want, as opposed to wanting the money to come, obsessing about the money before you start doing it? Something to think about. But anyways, my point is, left a job to embrace nothing, when in actuality I was embracing abundance, and now I'm starting to see things sort of course correct, which is beautiful. So that's something that I also wanted to share. And then another thing is, I just think it's important that we understand the role time plays in bringing about the things that we want. And, you know, I mentioned that I haven't been paid a salary in 2 years. It's going to be 2 years in June. Started the company going on, officially going on a year and a half. But I left my other job 2 years ago. So I've been on this journey for a while, and the milestone, or, where I am now, is a step up, maybe 2 steps up from where we were, but it's taking time. It's taking time. And I think, and 2 years is nothing to sneeze at. 2 years of waking up, of course, having the freedom to do whatever, has been amazing, and I would not trade it for anything. But let's be honest, 2 years is a long time to be grinding and putting yourself out there and talking about what you're trying to do, and being at practice, actually doing it, waking up every day to put in work to see if you can actually get this thing done. And for a lot of us, we don't have the patience to wait 2 years before we could possibly see something starting to bubble. Most people say they don't have it, and I'm going to talk about, the reality. But I think we need to have a better relationship with time, is really what it boils down to. So much like the money is not the motive, I think another concept that I want people to walk away and understand from this discussion is, we say a lot about not having time. Oh my God, I don't have time for that. I'm wasting time doing this. When in actuality, the only thing we have is time. What does that mean? From the minute we're born all the way till when we die, you don't have anything but time. Time is the one constant that remains constant. And if we actually take a step back, time is like the ocean. It is there. It's in abundance. And a lot of times, when we say we don't have time, what we're actually doing is, when you go to the beach, or you go to the ocean and you scoop up some water into the palms of your hands, of course the water will start to drip, and fall back, fall away. And then at some point, there's no more water. And you can look at the palms of your hands when the water has completely sort of drained from the crevices of the 2 palms coming together. And you could say, oh my God, I'm out of time. But in reality, the water has just gone back to the source. Like the water is still there. The reality is, and I don't know if that is is a metaphor, that resonates, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is, time is always available. We just have a terrible relationship with time. Now, like I said, from the time you're born till the time you die, All of that time is time you have. Now, what you choose to do with it is up to you. Time doesn't run out. Maybe we die. That's really what happens. Time doesn't run out. Time is always there. Our time here just expires. And, and I guess in essence, it makes it seem as if we don't have time. But the point is, I choose to live to, I'm about 99, maybe 100. I believe I'm going to have a long life. 100 years is a long ass time. Let's just be honest. 100 years is a long time to do whatever you want to do. I don't know what is in your heart to do, but you got a lot of time to do it. That's just the bottom line. And we tell ourselves these lies that we don't. The bottom line is you do. We just don't have the right relationship with time. So we need to redefine our relationship. We need to better understand what we're saying when we're saying we don't have time. But I think once we take a step back and stop saying, well, this thing is a waste of time. I don't have time to, go get this degree. I don't have time to call this person. I don't have time to do this, that, and the other. You essentially are putting yourself into a space into a corner that makes it difficult for you to break out of, because you've essentially drained yourself of all of the assets that you can possibly have, because you're claiming you don't have time. So what I'll say is 2 years, yes, is a long time. I've been having a good time. In the meantime, trying to build something. However, as things start to come together, 2 years is not a long time for these things to happen. So one thing you need to understand is it will take time. Anything you're trying to do will take time. If you're trying to birth children, it takes 9 months. Can get around that. Of course, there may be some, occasions where the baby may come early, but that's not what we desire. It takes 9 months to birth a child. Everything we see in nature, there's a time component to it, quote unquote. And that time component is when, things are gestating. There's a gestation period where things are happening, they're bubbling. You're not able to harvest yet, right? But you're putting in the work. You're cultivating the idea, the concept, whatever it is you're doing. You are allowing for things to happen and take place. You cannot reap the rewards or harvest something when you have not done the work, when you have not put in the time, when you have not naturally built the foundation for that thing. You can't then expect to harvest. And I think the problem with us is we have such a terrible relationship with time that we have forgotten that it actually takes time to build something before you can harvest. We have such a terrible relationship that we think the time that is necessary is going to be a waste, when it's not. That's like saying, I can't afford to be pregnant. I don't have time to be pregnant. I just want a child. It makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense. You got to go through the process. You got to go through the 9 months of allowing for the seed, for the baby, for the embryo to grow in you before it can turn into a baby. It's the same thing here. You can't bypass the step. Now, when we say, I just want money now, I don't want to put in the work, I don't want to do all this stuff, we're essentially wanting magic, miracles to happen. And I'm one that, taps into magic all day, but magic cannot work without the essentials, and time is necessary. Hard work, time, consistency is all part of what makes magic happen. You cannot skip all of those and then expect for the magic to happen. That's just wishful thinking. The magic will happen. That's like saying, I don't want to plant the seeds. I don't want to water it. I don't want to do whatever, but I do want to be eating apples next month. It's not going to happen. You need to actually plant the seed. You need to water it. You need to wait for it to germinate. You need to wait for it to grow. You may not be eating apples from the work that you're doing now, maybe for another 4 or 5 years. I don't know how long it takes for apples to start bearing fruit, but there's a process to it. There's a process, there's time, there's energy, there's consistency, there's commitment, there's work you've got to do. But the time is also a necessary component, and you cannot bypass that process. You need time for things to happen. And that time is not a waste. Time is never wasted. Not when you're doing the things you want to do. When you are working in your space of passion, when you are bringing forth, when you are creating, that time is never wasted. That is actually time being put to good use. You doing everything else, chasing money, when that's not really what you want to do, sitting down and complaining, or whatever it is that we spend our time doing, complaining, bitching, moaning, all the things that we do, about and say, that's the waste of time. Anytime you're not working on the things that you want to work on to bring forth, that's when you're wasting time. But whenever you are in that space of creating and working on the things that you want to work on, that time not only is not wasted, you're actually tapping into the space of magic at that point, because that's what allows for, when you plant one seed and all of a sudden you got a whole tree of apples, and now you can eat apples for the next 100 years. That's when the magic takes place. That's when you have captured time in a way that you now see exponential growth, logarithmic growth in the time that you've put into something. So I hope that makes sense. Time is a necessary factor in all of this, and it's never wasted. Round off by saying relationships matter. I feel like we've talked about this several times, and I'm gonna stress it again. A lot of us, in pursuit of money and trying to force things to happen, we sacrifice a lot by not focusing on our relationships. You cannot get far, and that's part of what I talked about when I said build a team. But even outside of building a team for your business, we need relationships, and I'm going to talk about why relationships are so important. But let me just say that where I am in my business right now, all of the activity taking place in my business has been as a direct result of the relationships that I have. Let that sit in. People know me and are making connections for me. People are recommending my business even when I'm not in the room. People are sending others to me. And as a result of those recommendations, I'm able to hire people. I'm able to replace my income. Mac is going to start working in the business. It's tremendous when you have meaningful relationships. And that's something that I want to be more intentional about. When you have meaningful relationships, it pays off in ways you can't even imagine. So let me leave with that. You all, we need to, we're close to, reaching the halfway point in 2021. And what I'll say is, the sky is the limit in terms of what we want to accomplish. And, I'm starting to see evidence of that. I'm starting to see, so let me just say, I'm planting the seed and I've been watering it for some time. I'm starting to see things come out of the ground. I'm seeing the leaves. I'm not harvesting yet, but I'm seeing a little bit of something coming out of the ground. So I'm like, oh, there's something there. So now I'm going to double and triple down on my efforts to continue to water and nurture and do the right things. But what I will say is, it's taken a while for the seed to germinate, right? To sort of do whatever it's doing. And now it's breaking ground. It's coming through, and I can see, the leaves, I can see it coming through. And now is the time for me to reinforce all the activities, all the work, which is why I wanted to come here today to do some days today. But I think it's just important to get back to basics. But the point is, whatever you want, you can do. It's possible, but you have to get your mind right. And when I say you, I'm including myself there. And what I'm realizing, and I'm just going to quickly go through this, is you need a team of people. Whatever we're trying to do, we can never do any of it by ourselves. We need a team. So just get yourself a team. It could be one person, two people, whatever it is. Get a team. You can go so much further. And that's what African proverb says. If you want to go fast, go by yourself. You may be going to nowhere. But if you want to go far, go with a team. Get yourself a team if you're trying to do something. Number two, the money is not the motive. The money is a bus pass to get you to where you want to get to. But when you don't have a bus pass, there's so many different ways for you to get there. I don't remember the last time I was on a bus. That's to show you that the bus pass is not an essential ingredient to this. Money is important, but it's not essential. I think that's an important thing for us to really just allow to settle in. It's not essential. Money is important, but there are different ways for you to get to where you need to get to. Your relationships, you can hitchhike, you can walk, you can take a train if a bus is not happening. So many different ways. So let's just understand that I'm not saying money is not important, but it's not the motive. It's not the end all. It's important. It is not an essential ingredient for where you want to get to. Number three, you cannot bypass time. Time is necessary. It's never wasted, not when you're working on your craft or the things that you want to do. It's never wasted. Matter of fact, it's when you forget about the time that it's taken, because time is in abundance. As long as you got breath, you got time. I don't know why we keep saying, I don't have time for that. You got time. You don't have nothing but time when we're living. Okay, so time is necessary. It's an essential ingredient. Just like you don't want a 1 month baby, you don't want a project that is taking less than the time it's supposed to take. Understand the process of creating and understand what it looks like for what it is that you are trying to create. Study other people. How much time has it taken them to birth the things that they wanted to birth, their businesses, their creative endeavors? How much time has it taken so that you can get a sense for how much time it'll likely take you, and maybe even longer because you've never done it before. But the point is, time is a necessary component. You can't bypass time. So once again, it's taken me 2 years to get here. I walked away from an income that made sense, but it no longer made sense, which is why I walked away from it. But 2 years, and I may now start be able to get paid. And I mean, let's think about that. And then lastly, you can't do anything without relationships. Relationships matter. To an extent that I don't even think I can articulate, or even that I fully understand yet. All I know is where I am with my business right now is as a direct result of the relationships that I have. So what that tells me is I need more meaningful relationships, and that's what I'm going to be investing in. But relationships matter. And, you know, a lot of us are running around, you know, trying to be efficient. Oh, I don't want to waste time. I need to focus on the money. I don't have time to pay a team yet, you know, or money to pay a team. So let me do it all by, like, we have the game twisted. Like it's upside down. It's upside down. But the point is, we can do anything we want. You do it today. Not even could you do it today. You should definitely start doing it today. But you've got to get your mind right. You know, we've all got to get our mind right. But anyways, it's been, I've been talking for a while, but I'm glad to be able to be back here and share my thoughts with you all. I'm having a great time. Life is good. I ain't got nothing to complain about. I'm about to be 40, and it's going to be on and popping in Puerto Rico. Let me just say that. I guarantee you. Y'all should come. Anybody who's interested in coming to Puerto Rico, come through, come have a good time. We're going to have a good time because we are stepping into ease and abundance. So with that, thank you so much for listening to Someday is Today. It's good to be back. I'm going to try to be more consistent and be more disciplined. But When I'm not, it's because I'm trying to make money moves. Even though money is not the motive. So let me just say I'm trying to make moves. That's why. But love you all. Thanks for listening to another episode of Some Days Today. And hopefully y'all are going out there just doing epic, dope ass shit every day. Just do it. Like, hopefully everyone is having an amazing time, because what else is the point if you're not? I don't know what it is. All right. Until next time. Peace out.